Regardless of the Sounders fans' excitement, is it possible for the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup to ever get the kind of attention it deserves, or is this trophy gonna? I mean, Seattle made a big deal out of it, and maybe it got a little bump, but it's just one of those cups in the background that nobody seems to pay much attention to.
Well, yeah, this is a tough one because it has a lot of history. It's a great storyline. It's a natural David versus Goliath story that you would think the American media, sports media, would pick up on and run with. I think the marketing for this game, or for these games, the Open Cup games, are terrible.
Yeah.
They don't do anything to raise the profile of the competition, and until that happens, then it's going to continue to be in the background.
Yeah.
Well, it is a shame because as a Chicago Fire fan, we used to live and die by the Open Cup, and I'm one of the many fans who are irritated with the Fire as far as taking it too lightly in the first couple rounds and getting knocked out for the second year in a row in the first round. It's something I would like to see get more respect, and it's a shame that it doesn't.
Well, I think the tough. Sorry to interrupt. I think the tough thing about the Open Cup, and for coaches in particular, is that our rosters at the moment aren't big enough. Mm-hmm. Where they want to play some guys. I mean, we lost in the first round of the Rapids, and we played a mixed squad, and we tried to give our young guys some playing time. Because we had a couple big games that were coming up. But until our rosters expand, which they're going to next year, and we're going to have a reserve league, then I think maybe you'll see more of an emphasis on teams rolling out a pretty good team, guys that you want to see mixed in with guys that you see regularly, really vying for it. But right now, since the emphasis isn't winning the Open Cup.
Out of curiosity, do you know any details as far as the reserve league? Because that's been a pretty hot topic on the boards.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I understand, I know a lot of these things are still being ironed out, but I can give you the latest scoop on from what I know. I think the rosters are going to expand to 30. You only have to sign 28 guys. If you don't use those two extra slots money can go to paying other. I think those will be two minimum salary guys. So it'll be $80,000 total that you can maybe use for other guys in your 28. Okay. From what I understand, there's going to be 10 games in the reserve league. Okay. 5 home, 5 away, and I think they're going to be played out on Wednesday nights.
Are they going to do regional games? I heard that as well.
Yes. Yeah, I think that we have 5 games. It's going to be 5 opponents that we play home and away, and they're all regional. So I think we play, to use Kansas City example, I think we play Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Salt Lake, and Colorado.
Okay.
That's our 5.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's what I heard. So it's a good thing. I think they're going to play on Wednesday mornings too, from what I understand.
Of the 30-man rosters, do you know if the homegrown players are counted towards that, or are they extra?
Good question. I think they are counted towards that, but that's just me speculating. I don't know for sure. Obviously, everything I just said is speculation, but from what I've gathered from my quote-unquote sources, the majority of what I said about the reserve league is right. I don't know about the homegrown players, though.
Yeah. Hey, any thoughts about, we just had the USL, or what was the USL, dropping down to D3, and NASL, that moniker kind of rearing its head again, as it did, this season and will next again, to the D2 spot. I mean, do you still think sort of advocating the monopoly system? I mean, I'm a firm believer in it too, but you mentioned it in your vision for the future. For MLS. I mean, are you still there?
Yeah, I should reread that because it's been a long time since I read it and wrote it.
Sure.
But
I know the feeling.
I think that has to happen. I think you have to have, I guess the analogy I used was like a point A to point B system where everybody kind of is on the same page. Everybody's working together to produce the best players, the best league.
Right.
Right now it seems like everybody's competing against each other for the almighty dollar. And
yeah.
At what point do we become socialistic and merge it with the capitalistic system that we have now? And and I think we're doing some changes. I think U.S. Soccer is doing some stuff with the national team. Claudio Reyna's in charge, which I like and I appreciate, and I think he's going to do a good job in his role. Yeah. But can we continue to build relationships with everybody else that's in this country to make sure that we have the best league? I don't know if that's possible. I'm sure that's just a dream. But for us to really get to where we want to get to. If in fact we do want to become the best league in the world, I don't really know if that's the end game. Sometimes I wonder if it's just about property and building stadiums and having the public pay for it. I just don't. I don't really know what the motivation is. But I think it's changing. I think initially it was a little bit more like that, and I think it's shifting to becoming more like you see around the world, and you're going to see owners starting to compete more for players and all that. So that's a good thing. But, for a while there, it was a little murky, and I want to publicly state that I want to thank Philip Anschutz for keeping it afloat, because I think this is going to be a league to reckon with in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the one thing to note is that I'm sort of glad that MLS and USL and NASL has sort of mended fences, because I know the water's been kind of murky between the two groups, but they've been doing more loans, it seems like, with younger players.
Right.
You had Lewis Gill from Real Salt Lake. You had Nemo. You had Breck Shea's former roommate. Went up to Portland. I can't think of his name right now.
Right.
No, it's a good thing. We loaned out Aaron Holbein to Miami FC, and he came back with a boatload of confidence that he wouldn't have had otherwise had he been just the third string guy here in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he learned how to become a professional on his own. I'm an A-League guy. I played a year in the A-League. Coming out of college, probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because if I had gone straight to MLS, I just would have been sitting behind the other guys and never really got to get my feet wet and learn what it takes to be a pro and what it takes to prepare myself for a game.
Yeah.
And little stuff that kind of go by the wayside when you're just a reserve and nobody's thinking about you. So,
right.
But at that time, though, I was playing for the San Diego Flash, and we had a relationship with the Galaxy. It was us and the Orange County Zodiac, and they kind of had first dibs on the players from those teams. And then if they didn't want you, then you can go to other teams, and that's where I ended up in San Jose. But there was a good relationship back then. I don't think the A-League guys or the A-League coaches and general managers were all that happy with it, because MLS can kind of come and pluck your players at any time. But but that's why there has to be something. They got to figure out something, and obviously it's a financial something.
Yeah.
To alleviate that kind of pain, because if let's say a San Diego team loses their star player, then how are you going to get the fans to continue to come out? But if the fans buy into the fact that this is a kind of a reserve system, and you're going to see the stars of tomorrow before they're stars, then I think you have an angle to sell. But right now, like you said, it's murky water, and I think there are fences being mended, but I wish it would happen quicker. I'm a little impatient on that front.
Right.